Hare Krishna, dear devotees, my humble obeisances to you all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj's daily class. Today we are continuing with our series of Daivi Varnasrama. Hare Krishna Maharaj, my humble obeisances to you, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, are we doing Daivi Varnasrama today or Srimad Bhagavatam verse? Maharaj.
Daivi Varnasrama.
Yes, Maharaj. Do you want me to share any verse, Maharaj, in Vedabase?
No.
Okay. Thank you so much. Please accept my humble obeisances.
I'm gonna read some stuff and then comment on basically on what I'm gonna read.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay, so it'll require people paying attention because it's not being seen on the line. So it requires a little greater effort to stay attentive. Okay, so we're going to hear some statements by Srila Prabhupada about Daivi Varnasrama and about Varnasrama. We have to make a distinction between the two of them. When Lord Chaitanya was speaking to Ramananda Roy, and Ramananda Roy was reciting the different stages of how bhakti develops from one level to another level, he quoted various verses. And the first verse he quoted was Vanasramacharya tam purusham taraparam Vishnu arati panta nanusho chanti panditaha. That last line I didn't get right. It's Nanu Shokati, something else. I forgot the actual last line. But the point that Lord Chaitanya was responding to is that he wanted to understand in progression what is the highest of all aspects of bhakti. So when Ramananda Roy began by reciting that verse from the Vishnu Purana, 389, I think the verse is, which illustrates the importance of following Vana and Ashram. Lord Chaitanya rejected him. Iobaye, which means that's external. Tell me something else. When Prabhupada was discussing Varnashram and how he wanted to implement it, the devotees brought up that point that Lord Chaitanya had said. And they said, well, if Lord Chaitanya rejected it, why are we going about it? Prabhupada said, Lord Chaitanya was looking for the spiritual aspects. In order for us to develop our society and to attract the conditioned souls, we have to establish the Varnashram system in order for people to become situated in a peaceful state of mind, because without becoming peaceful, no one can execute devotional service. So he showed the necessity, and he explains it here. And I'll explain it. In order to rectify the world situation, all people should be trained in Krishna consciousness and in accordance with the Varnashram system. The state should also see that people are engaged in satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada is explaining what is the duties of the leaders in this society. He says the prime duty of the state is to make sure that everyone is working according to their natural proclivities. In other words, the Varna and Ashram system. Known not only Varna, but established in their spiritual practice also. And Prabhupada went on to say the Krishna conscious movement was started to convince the general populace, that's not devotees, general populace, to adopt the best process by which to satisfy the Supreme Personality and thus solve all the problems. If we do not take to the principles of Varnashram Dharma by accepting the four orders, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra, and the four orders spiritual life, brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, there can be no question of success in life. And that's a purport from 5th canto, 19th chapter, verse number 10. If one's position is ascertained by a bona fide spiritual master, and one is properly trained to engage in the service of Lord Vishnu according to the four social divisions, Brahma, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra, and the four spiritual divisions, again, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, one's life becomes perfect. So to establish the social system along with the ashram system is the basis for development in Krishna consciousness. Again, it's material, but without that basis, the spiritual doesn't really develop. And Prabhupada will show that later in many of his statements. Then he says, in the land of Bharatvarsha, which means, of course, India, the institution of Varnashram Dharma may be easily adapted. At the present moment, certain demoniac sections of the population of Bharatvarsha are disregarding the system of Varnashram because there's no institution to teach them how to become Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras, Brahmacharis, Grihastas, Vanaprasthas, and Sannyasis. These demons want a classless society. This is resulting in a chaotic condition. So classless society means it is motivated by what? Not by organization according to social needs, but by personal interest based on a principle of what can I gain in my own life as for my own economic development, which will lead to my sense gratification. Yeah. No one is being trained. This is a result in chaotic condition. In the name of a secular government, unqualified people are taking the supreme governmental posts. No one is being trained to act according to the principles of Varnashram. Thus, people are becoming increasingly degraded and are heading in the direction of animal life. The real aim of life is Sanatana Dharma or liberation, but unfortunately, the opportunity for liberation is being denied to people in general, and therefore their human lives are being spoiled. The Krishna conscious movement, however, is being propagated all over the world to reestablish Varnashram system and thus save human society from gliding down to hellish life. So you see how it's necessary to establish a social system where one can work in accordance with one's nature and contribute to the society in an organized fashion and not simply being motivated by economic interests and everyone is in competition with everyone else. Rather than the synergetic society systematically organized for the needs of all individuals in all categories, people are more or less interested simply in economic gain, which they want to use in order to increase their facilities to enjoy sense gratification. That's what we have today. Therefore, Prabhupada says the society is going to hell. So these are statements that Prabhupada has made, and they are being compiled here. So I'll give you another one. Although the Krishna conscious movement is a movement of Brahmins and Vaishnavas, it is trying to reestablish divine Varnashram system. We have to understand, divine means to serve the Lord according, and not simply for the material organization. And then Prabhupada goes on to say, without this division of society, there cannot be peace and prosperity anywhere. And you can see that today. One of the objectives of the Krishna conscious movement is to establish this Daivi Varnashram, but not to encourage the so-called Varnashram without scientifically organized endeavor by you in society. In other words, not materialistic Varnashram. When no people are working according to their propensity, but there's no organization, that supports each of the Varnas amongst each other. So there's no development of the social system. Another quote, we have repeatedly stressed that human culture does not begin unless one takes the principles of Varnashram. And then I have like so many quotes that Prabhupada has been stated. There's hundreds and hundreds, just to help us understand the importance. Because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarni Manasrista Guna Karma Vibhaga Saha. So people are trained or they're born with certain propensities. But in Kali Yuga, because of the degradation of the age, these propensities are covered, and therefore classification cannot be given. Therefore, in order to bring out these qualities, there has to be an educational system, and that Prabhupada wanted what is called the Varnashram college to teach. But he says it must be taken up very seriously. This is one of the main items of our institution, to establish it not by birth, but by qualification. Prabhupada, now this is a direct statement by Prabhupada. This is a letter to Kartikeya Mahadevya, Johannesburg, October 1975. Now our next program will be to organize farming land to set an example to the whole world, how people can be peaceful, happy, and free from all anxiety simply by chanting Hare Krishna and living an honorable life in Krishna consciousness. In India, especially, people are religiously inclined. They like to live in a village and also like to love Lord Ram and Lord Krishna. This idealism is running through their bloods and veins. We have to organize this natural tendency and elevate them back home, back. So Prabhupada is thinking of the whole world. He's not just focusing on our society, which he did. He did both. He give us directions for our own development, but he's seeing the bigger picture also. Please think this over. And he's saying, my beloved sannyasi, and he names him. He said, well, as soon as they give me a car, I'll go there and I'll move from village to village, along with some selected assistants, and organize this farming. So Prabhupada was willing to actually show how to do it by going in there and giving the example on a personal level. So here's a statement to Prabhupada. Well, this is from Vishnu Jan Maharaj. When we first go to open a temple in the city, we get an apartment or a storefront, but then we move and when more and more people come, then we should get land and cows and everything. Prabhupada's response, yes, yes. Vishnu Jan, and turn it into a society. Yes, Prabhupada said, that is wonderful. Satcharup, when Ramananda Roy brought this up, Lord Chaitanya said it was not possible in this age. Prabhupada, yes, not. He did not say possible. Echo Baya. The Lord replied, this is external. You had better tell me of some other means. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was interested only on the spiritual platform. He had no idea of the material side. He rejected the material side. Satcharup Maharaj, but don't we do that also? No, our position is different. We are trying to implement Krishna consciousness in everything. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally took sannyas. He completely rejected material. He was one who has nothing to do with this material world. But we're not going to this kinchana. We're not rejecting the whole society. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected everything. Eko Baya. I do not take this of much interest. It is external. He was simply interested in the internal, the spiritual. But our duty is that we should pave the way. We should arrange the external affairs also so nicely. Coming up, that one day people will come to our spiritual platform. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and personalities like that have nothing to do with this material world, but we are preaching. Therefore, we must pave the situation in a way that such that gradually people will be promoted to the spiritual plane. Such a Varnashram is not required. Prabhupada, not required. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu denied it. He said, I am not a Brahmin, I am not Kshatriya, I'm not this. He rejected, according to the. But in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's practice, preaching, he only induced them to chant. Prabhupada, this is not possible for the ordinary man. Harisari, what to speak to induce people to chant? Prabhupada, but who will chant? Who'll chant? But if they won't chant, then either they will train up in Varnashram, that is the easiest. So they're questioning Prabhupada's reason for emphasizing Varnashram. The chanting will be there, but you cannot expect that people will chant like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They cannot even chant 16 rounds. And these rascals are going to be Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, they're challenging Prabhupada going back and forth. And Prabhupada is answering, yes, it can replace, but who is going to replace it? He's saying the chanting was introduced to replace the system of Varnashram like that. But people are not so advanced. If you imitate Haridas Thakur to chant, is it possible? So Prabhupada is showing that in order to organize society, but then we have to understand that later on, Prabhupada threw out all of the ideas and went simply for Daivi Varnasrama and not material Varnasrama. He was thinking before we can establish it in general for the world in terms of our preaching, we have to establish it within our own society. And so there are many other quotes here. I'll continue here. So this is all kind of a discussion. Prabhupada's trying to convince his followers the importance of Daivi Varnasrama, like that. So let me give you some more statements here by Prabhupada. So Prabhupada is saying we should gradually come to the platform of sattva gunas so that we avoid the two lower gunas. This can be done if we regularly discuss Srimad Bhagavatam and hear Krishna's activities. By hearing and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, the modes of passion and ignorance are subdued, and that only sattva gun remains. Then rajagun and tamagun cannot do us any harm. Varnashram Dharma, therefore, is essential for it can bring people to sattva gun. So here's what Prabhupada is saying. Tadas rajas tamo bhava kama loba dayas chaye. Tamo guna and rajaguna increase lust and greed, which implicate a living entity in such a way that he must exit in this material world in many, many forms. That is very dangerous. One should therefore be brought to sattva guna by establishing Varnashram Dharma and should develop the Brahminical qualification of being very neat and clean, rising early in the morning, seeing Mangalarti. In this way, one should stay in Sattva Guna and not be influenced by the lower mood. Shortly before Srila Prabhupada departed from the world, there were a few conversations he had about Gita Nagari. In one conversation downstairs in his house in Vrindavan, he was talking about his impending death, and he said, I have no lamentation. But then he paused and said, no, I have a lamentation. 3 or 4 people were there at the time, and someone asked, do you mean because you have not finished translating Srimad Bhagavatam? Prabhupada said, no, because I've not established one ashram. 50% of my work is incomplete because I have not established one ashram. Then the question on what to do about this uncompleted work. Another conversation on the roof, Srila Prabhupada said, I want to establish one ashram. How will you do that? Prabhupada said, I will sit down in Gita Nagari and teach you to live off the land. So that was Prabhupada's. He wanted us, he actually showed us. Many of his other statements are more developed in the sense that he said that this society, this materialistic society, I'll bring up some statements that he said in relation to the society, is killing people by sending people into these factories to work hard and destroying their livelihood and their life itself. So we need to establish these forms and teach people how to live a very sattvic life, and then also teach them how to practice the goal of life, Krishna consciousness. So he was using Varnashram or farm community development not only for our own interdevelopment, and he made those points very clear, such as that why do we have to live off this society which is exploiting people by sending people into different kinds of workplaces and then selling back the same products that we can get directly from nature? Why to travel so much? This traveling spends too much time and wastes his life, and it also deteriorates the quality of the person's well-being. So better to live locally off the land. And then he gave so many reasons how that's beneficial and why our present society, he said, in 50 years, he said it in 1973, he said the whole Western society will collapse. And it's interesting because about 2 or 3 years ago, these cracks in the developed society were starting to really become prominent. And now we're seeing them in a very big way. People are starting to wonder, are they going to be able to have food? Are they going to have all the things they need in order to live? So now it's becoming in the purview of everyone's life. What are we going to do if everything starts to collapse, which it is, and it's also been predicted, and it will continue to collapse because there are people who are not inclined for social development, but by more like economic dominance in different areas of the world. That's the leadership. How they can exploit the resources of the world. If certain people have certain resources, other people need these resources, then there's wars in order to get them, or some kind of trade agreement that does not necessarily fulfill the needs and usually falls apart in due course of time. You see, they're always making one trade agreement and then they break it up and create another one. So yeah, so Prabhupada made so many statements. I can give me a few minutes here. I'll read some of the things that Prabhupada said in relation to the development of our ISKCON society based on developing these farm communities. And there's so much information that Prabhupada gave us. It's really unlimited, you know. It's really unlimited. It's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of statements. I can read a few of them here. It says, our motto is simple living, high thinking. We should think of Krishna without being hampered by material disturbances as far as possible. So too much risky thing is not for us. If something comes very easily for our manipulation, we can welcome it. But why work hard for the basics? What he's saying. So if you want a peaceful, happy life, you have to again bring it back Vedic culture, simple life and hang thinking. This is wanted. If you introduce more and more anarthas only, unwanted things, how can you be happy? We have to minimize even whatever we absolutely require. This is civilization, not that increasing. This is a misguided civilization. The present scarcity of food in the world is largely due to such factories. When everyone is working in the city to produce nuts and bolts, who will produce food grains? Simple living and high thinking is the solution of economic problems. Therefore, the Krishna conscious movement is engaging devotees in producing their own food and living self-sufficiently so that rascals may see how we can live very peacefully. Eat the food grains one has grown oneself, drink milk, and chant Hare Krishna. Prabhupada mentions milk in many of his statements as being the most nutritious food that's necessary to cultivate or to increase higher knowledge. Brain tissues are nourished by proper milk. Prabhupada said there is so much potency of producing food grains, milk, and other things. In America, they throw away so many grains and vegetables daily. It's simply mismanagement. Otherwise, there is no question of scarcity or poverty. There is no question. It is simply propaganda. In other words, Prabhupada is saying the earth can produce 10 times as much as it is now, but because people are so sinful and are simply trying to exploit the earth, they're winding up struggling for the basic things in life. So but people don't want it, and they want motor cars, they want luxury lifestyles. They don't understand the value. Why should you go in the city hundreds of miles in cars and again hundreds of miles come back and take unnecessary trouble? Stick to one spot and grow your own food, your own cloth, and live peacefully. Save time, chant Hare Krishna. Very nice program. This is actual life. What is this nonsense life? Big, big cities and people always busy. He wants to see one friend, he has to go 30 miles. He wants to see a physician 50 miles. He goes to work another 100 miles. What is this life? This is not life. As far as possible, try to adjust a natural way of life, free from dependence on machines. We see now that in society they're introducing these robots now, they call them AI, and their plan is to downsize the work population so they can, the big corporations can make more and more money without having to pay so many people and get the work done by machines. So they're increasing, machines are doing everything now, more and more. And there are many huge plans in the making, even right now while we're speaking, to increase this automated society where people don't have to do anything. Machines are taking over everything. Just like if you look at the present war between United States and Iran, with other countries involved. What is it? It's just missiles being fired this way and that way. It's all mechanized. It's a mechanized war. There's no ground soldiers. There's no fighting on that level. I'm not saying there should be. I'm saying how the machines have become so prominent and technology has become so sophisticated. They can use machines for everything now. You don't need any humans anymore, or you can downsize. You need a few humans to operate the machines, but that's about all. So it's become people will be outside of their natural propensity to work, and what will happen? They'll start to feel dissatisfied, and then they'll start to create civil disobedience. And then the government will come in and repress that simple disobedience, and then you'll have martial law, and then you'll have a very strong state just ruling people, and people won't be able to do anything. They'll be controlled by a very sophisticated, mechanized state that suppresses people down, and gets whatever they can in order to propagate their profit margins. That's what it's all about. People making more and more money, and others becoming more and more uh, dis, what's the word? Disenfranchised from everything. Here, but our principle is that we are against nothing, only for Krishna. We want whatever is favorable for Krishna. What is this civilization? Every moment there is a risk, most ludicrous civilization. So farming means if you live in a farm, produce your own food, live peaceful, fresh vegetables, fresh grains, fresh milk, prepare so many nice milk preparations, kachuris, halva with ghee, offer to the deity, eat sufficiently. What is the use of going outside? Simple life and chant Hare Krishna. If you can organize that, it will be very nice. Prabhupada speaking on a morning walk in Nairobi. This is in Africa. He's also preaching that because it's an agrarian society. But now they're moving away from that towards a more mechanized lifestyle. Here, Prabhupada said, from the farms, we should get sufficient foodstuffs that can be sent to be used at our restaurants. Along with the restaurant, there can be a Bhakti Vedanta reading room. This is Prabhupada's idea for all the temples. In the Bhakti Vedanta reading room, all my books could be kept and people can come and comfortably read. People will like these restaurants and reading rooms. They will take them as non-sectarian. So Prabhupada wanted that we can create nice restaurants with the foods that we grow on our farms, and then create a reading room and people can come, take prasadam, and sit there and read Prabhupada's books. And that will bring them more inclined to Krishna consciousness. A method of preaching. Again, grow your own food, grow your own cloth. There's no need of financial help from outside. You get your food grains sufficiently, rice, dal, wheat, vegetables, milk, sugar. You get everything from these five. You get everything. So I have hundreds and hundreds of statements. I don't know if I won't read so many because most of them are just the same emphasis. Go back to the farms, live simply, depend on Krishna. It's a more natural lifestyle. It's more healthier lifestyle. And with the collapse of the Western civilization, it's becoming more and more a focus in order to survive, what to speak of just finding a more convenient lifestyle. It'll be the lifestyle that is the only one that'll be adaptable when the Western society cracks. It's cracking now. I used to think, or I used to say, I'm not just, I used to say, well, I'm not trying to be a doomsday prophet, but you can see what's happening on the world scene now. It's becoming really dangerous out there, and there's going to be more and more shortages. So this was predicted by Prabhupada, and now we're seeing it as it's actually happening. But people will think, oh, things will get better. No, they won't. They won't get better. We're in a certain direction and it's spiraling downward, and it's going to continue to spiral downward because the society and the leaders who lead society have no idea on how to help people. Therefore, all they can do is try to work for their own nation, to try to build up their own economic, military society so they can become successful and to hell with the rest of them. And if some other country can help us in that, then we'll trade and develop relationships with them. So it's a very competitive world out there. And now the competition is going to be going over for natural resources. And then when that comes, then people become what we say desperate. So we're seeing it. It's happening very quickly. It's not something that you were just projecting. It's happening right now. And people don't know what to do right now. They're hoping things will get better, but it's not likely it will, because when things go in a certain direction and the means for making it to go in that direction doesn't change, it'll continue to go in the same direction. Down, down, down. More and more struggle. Okay, so this is something. So back to, I mean, there's much more. I have like thousands, I'm not hundreds and hundreds of statements by Srila Prabhupada on this topic, along with statements about the future of society in relationship to the practice of Krishna consciousness, and how Prabhupada showed that unless we engage people according to their propensity, even if they chant Hare Krishna, it doesn't mean they're going to be, they need a livelihood, they need service, they need something to fulfill their needs in terms of doing things, because everyone has to be active. Activity is the nature of life. And if people are not active, then they become what we say frustrated, and then they become a detriment to themselves and others. Okay. Oh,
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, any comments or questions, you can please go ahead. Rishabh Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas, dear Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you very much for the amazing talk about the Varnasrama. I'm speaking to you from the small farm. I mean, it's like a small weekend cottage my parents have here. So very convenient. One question, Maharaj, I was speaking with Ananta Prabhu about implementing some kind of a Varna training for people coming to temples, so they can actually kind of start to get into their Varna a little. So I'm just trying to understand these concepts, because when you put people in the Varna, they should be more peaceful, but or in the mode of goodness. But we know that only Brahmanas are in the mode of goodness, Kshatriyas in the Rajas, Vaishyas are in the Rajas and Tamas. So, and also we are speaking about Daivi Varnasrama, which means that even if somebody gonna be trained as Kshatriya or Vaishya or Shudra, he will actually still, at least the devotees, they will still have these Brahminical activities of morning sadhana, evening sadhana, temple worship, temple programs, which is also it's elements of Vaishnavas, which is also Brahminical activities. So can you maybe elaborate us how is somebody coming to the mode of goodness if he's like trained to be a Shudra, let's say?
we don't train Sudras, we train Vaishyas, and we train Kshatriyas, and we train Brahmins. Sudras just fall in place according to their tendency to support the other activities. So for not Sudras, but people are not inclined to work to their particular Varna because they're not even aware of it. And so that's the purpose of the Varnashram College. Without establishing the educational system, there's no evaluation of people. And therefore, Prabhupada wanted that educational system. In our society, as devotees, we continue with our Vaishnava activities, but we also train. So we develop a unified society where all aspects of services are covered by people according to their proclivities in that particular Varna. So we don't have that. And then Prabhupada said that was my lamentation when he left.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. The net is not good. Looks like Maharaj, internet is not good. He is frozen. Connected. Om Namo Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Did what I say, did that come through?
No, Maharaj, we got you got disconnected. Your video and audio was frozen for at least 2-3 minutes now. So, Rishabh Prabhu, do you have any further comments or anything you want to ask Maharaj?
Yes, if I may. It's like when we are training, Maharaj, you said we are training only the Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, and the Brahmins. So Shudras, they're all about skills and preserving the skills and doing the skills. So is this like an ashram college which we are training these 3 other Varnas? Is more about the attitude, the codex, and some other aspects than?
Well, the attitude is the Vaishnava attitude. In other words, we're devotees. So we live according to devotee principles, devotee behavior, and we worship also. But this part where there is the Varna section is meant for the organization of the society, so all services are covered nicely. And everyone develops in a unified way, not in a hodgepodge, unorganized service. I mean, Prabhupada began this whole thing when he said it's the duty of the spiritual master to observe the disciple and then understand their particular nature and guide them into a service that is comparable to their nature. And that way they'll develop both in spiritually and create something that will be beneficial for others. But it can't be done for one Varna. All Varnas have to be included in the educational system, excluding the Sudras. The Sudras don't need training. Those who don't fit in the first 3 classes. In other words, those who just like to work. That's all. Then they can assist in doing various services.
Maharaj, thank you very much. There is one devotee I met. It is from His Grace Sankarshan Prabhu, your god brother, the Prabhupada's disciple. He was in 20 years in Budapest. It's Bulgaria. I have one big farm in Bulgaria, and he was there for 20 years working, and he has lots of experience in the farming and taking care of the cows and everything. And he also offered himself if he can share also some experience and questions and answer for the devotees if they like. So just putting it on the table, Maharaj, if you find it useful.
Take advantage of his offer. Yeah.
for the devotees, if on the Zoom call, if devotees wanted to bring them on the Zoom call for everyone. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Amritanam Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So Guru Maharaj, I have a question, but before that, I just want to clarify a little from what Bishop Prabhu mentioned. So the idea is the temple should, whenever there's new devotees, the idea is the temple should first train them, recognize their varnas, and then place them in the respective devotional services. Is that correct, Guru Maharaj?
That's
Not
what
just
you can read that in the discussion, morning walk conversation. Prabhupada outlined that whole program in detail, and he also reiterated it in other discussions that he had. Yeah. There will be an educational system. The Brahmins will be the teachers, and they will teach all of the other Varnas. And then by the teaching, the evaluation system will naturally come into purview, where based on the teachings of a certain person's qualities will start to emerge. And based on that, the Brahmins then say, well, then you should, you have your tendencies are towards management, organization. So that would be good if you take up a service based on organizing things, or those who are martial spirited, they can also be engaged as protecting the society, protecting the deities, protecting the devotees, protecting the assets of society. So there's different services. Yeah, but the Brahmins will teach and evaluate. Not that every Brahmin has to know everything, but collectively, all of the different Varnas will be taught by the Brahmanas.
yes, Guru Maharaj. So, Guru Maharaj, coming to my question, I'm just trying to connect the dots. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells us about the Varnashram system. But in the conversation with Ramanand Rai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejects the Varnashram system, calling, I think he mentions that it is external. And
Were you
again,
here at the beginning of the class? I addressed that subject directly. Did you come late?
no, not really.
I explained the whole thing in detail at the beginning of the class.
Okay, I'll refer it again. Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, I said that Mahaprabhu was interested in the spiritual, but we're interested in preaching and establishing a system where people can develop a peaceful lifestyle so they can practice Krishna consciousness. Lord Chaitanya wanted to hear only the spiritual. Varnashram is material. So you can't, and Lord Prabhupada said, we are not following Lord Chaitanya in this area. He had a different expectation in that discussion. That's why he rejected it. Not only that, he rejected some of the other statements that are based on Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, and various types of statements that were not in line with pure devotional service. If you listen to the very beginning of the class, that's what I talked about.
Okay, so he was very much into the internal mood. That is why he rejected.
Only.
Right, right. Okay, and Srila Prabhupada was talking about as a community, we should, because we are not on the level yet.
Yeah, that and plus as a more mode of preaching to the world in general.
Okay, Guru Maharaj. Thank you. I'll refer to the initial part. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Daria Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. My humble obeisances, Maharaj. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Just a follow-up question of Rishabha Prabhu's question. I didn't really understand how Varnashram is leading like us to the mood of goodness. Even, for example, if you're a Kshatriya, then you are in the mood of passion. How does it change from the mode of passion to the mode of goodness, or?
Materially, no. Spiritually, it transcends all of the different modes. So if a person is fighting, Arjuna was not in the mode of passion because he was working under the direction of Krishna to fight on behalf of religious principles. Therefore, he was doing devotional service. And so a devotee is not a Brahmin, a Vaishya, a Sudra, a Kshatriya. Devotee is Vaishnava, but they have services that complement these different varnas, that's all. Devotee is not categorized by the different modes because devotional service is above all of the modes.
So they
Prabhupada
could
was talking about the secular world and how people are, so much engaged in their different propensities, but and not engaged in their propensities, and they're simply going to hell. So again, Prabhupada at first rejected all of Varnashram, but then in 1974, after preaching for about 8 years, he started to emphasize the importance of Daivi Varnashram. Before he didn't want anything to do with Varnashram. He said, because society is too topsy-turvy. Kali Yuga has destroyed everything. You can't organize Varnashram within society. But then he said, but unless we do it, then people will, he was seeing how devotees chanting Hare Krishna were falling down because they weren't properly engaged. So he said, now we have to do that. And then if we do that, it'll be an example for the secular world also. And they will come to our farms looking for work, and we'll engage them according to their varna. And as they become situated in their varna, we'll gradually introduce the spiritual aspect. It's a preaching program.
So for a devotee, it shouldn't matter which varna you are in. Is it the same which ashram you are in as well?
Depends. That depends. For a new devotee, it's better they work according to their nature. And for advanced devotee can do any service and he'll still make advancement.
And they can also be in whichever ashram.
Well, that's designated by the spiritual master. Brahmachari, for ladies, brahmachari, in other words, the complement or the counterpart of brahmachari is woman ashram. Women living together. This is a phenomena in our society. It's never been done before. Women living in ashrams. Of course, there were women's ashrams in India where women were trained spiritually, But now we have both men and women living in the same building. Each has a separate place, and each is categorized as celibate, and women and men like that. That's a phenomenon that Prabhupada started because he was dealing with the Western society where boys and girls could not be separated, and it wasn't possible. He knew to try to do that, it wouldn't work. So he allowed the ladies to have equal status in terms of living and service along with the men. But that's not the history of Vaishnav culture. History is that women never lived in the temples with the men. They always would come to visit the temples and live outside. But then there were also women's ashrams in certain places, but they were just women. There was no men around. But our society mixes. But still, for the sake of practice, we separate into different areas for the sake of focusing on our activities. Okay.
Darya Mataji,
Yes,
hope
thank
that
you very
helps.
much. Yes, thank you.
Prasita Chaitanya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances in your lotus feet, Guru Maharaj. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj, I was realizing that we are struggling for the basic things, and because we forget our Vedic culture. And Prabhupada told, and during his last days, Prabhupada was explaining the importance of Varna ashram, and he told that if we follow this Vedic culture and Varnashram, we will keep our conscious in the Satogun. So how important it is, and we are suffering here because we are accepting foreign culture, and this is actually this is so important, Guru Maharaj. So thank you, Guru Maharaj, for giving such type of classes. Is very important, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, just work with the program there. You devotees are moving forward there with projects. Everything is moving. They have the right attitude. They have the right program. Now they need to develop it. And somebody was just telling me yesterday, a whole community has just set up in where is it? In UK now. They're going to develop this area of Lincoln and near okay, what's the name of that place? I can't think of it. Anyway, and they're going to try to get some families to volunteer to live in that lifestyle and back to the farms. So another community is started. Every once in a while you hear another community. So it's starting to, people are waking up to the reality of our society.
Yes, Guru.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rishabh Prabhu, you have any other question? Please unmute, Prabhuji. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Yes, yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much. I was just listening to the conversation, and it actually seems like that we are first actually trying to train people in a mode of goodness as much as possible, because it is, if we want to become a Vaishnava, we have to be in the mode of goodness. And then, of course, if we become on the mode of goodness.
We're training people to become devotees.
Yes.
And to become devotees, the qualities of the mode of goodness is conducive. We're not training people in the mode of goodness. We're training people to become devotees, to engage in devotional service. But you can't engage in devotional service using the qualities of the lower modes. So we're not focusing on the mode of goodness, we're focusing on devotional service.
So yeah, I was just thinking, like, if we would, let's say, we have to train a Vaishya, we still have to train him to be in the mode of goodness, to practice devotional life, and also, of course, he will engage in Vaishya activities. But it's like it's actually, we are still training people to, you know, in their varnas and in the mode of in the as you say, activities of goodness, so they can practice Krishna consciousness. Actually,
the activities are the activities of devotional service. That's all. Mode of goodness is qualities. It's not activities. Mostly qualities. The activities are the services we do.
Yeah, interesting, Maharaj. So how do you train qualities in people?
Qualities are there. They're the nature of the soul. They have to be brought out. We say, practice humility, practice tolerance, practice pridelessness, practice becoming undisturbed in happiness and distress. Practice simplicity. These qualities, practicing being free from anger, practicing becoming non-envious. Learn what these characteristics are and adopt them in relationship to your service.
Okay, very nice, very nice.
Service
I
is
understand.
Service is transcendental.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. We have a question on chat by Bhavya Prabhuji. He is asking, in the Varnashrama community, will the women also get the Varna? I'm asking this because I heard from a Prabhuji's Varnashrama seminar that women are 5th Varna. Can you please explain what it is, Guru Maharaj?
Let's see. All my sisters were married within 12 years. My second sister, she became 12 years, and I heard my mother became so discouraged. Well, this girl is not being married. Tamal Krishna, at 12, Prabhupada, 12 years, and she was given to my boy, my brother-in-law, for his second marriage. Means that my brother-in-law lost his first wife, Prabhupada, and he still was 21 years old. My sister was only 12 and brother-in-law was 21. They say that if a girl becomes married, they say that if the girl before marriage has menstruation, then father has to eat that menstrual liquid. Means it's very strict. And if the father is not living, then the elder brother has to eat. Getting the girl married rests on the father. In the absence of the father, the elder brother. The girl must be married. That is called kanya doi. Doi means legally inheritance. Just like your father's money, you get automatically. So similarly, kanya doi means to get the girl married. You cannot refuse it. It's incumbent. You must do it. Tamal Krishna. So many of our girls in our society, they have reached their age, but they're not getting married. Well, but no, your society is different. Now it is here also. Tamal Krishna. I mean, in ISKCON, in our society. No, ISKCON is not going to be a social reformer. But as far as possible, we can help. Our main business is how to make everyone Krishna consciousness. That is our business. We cannot take it up, but if it's possible, we can take up the Varnashram system. Tamal Krishna, if Varnashrama is neglected, how can there be proper functioning in society? Prabhupada's going on here. Let's see. It talks about so we're training women also in the activities of devotional service. We're also training them in coming to the mode of goodness also. So what's the question?
So about women, he's asking, Maharaj. He's asking, will the women also get the Varna? And are there fifth Varna?
And that's material. When a woman is engaged in devotional service, she's transcendental to all Varnas. She's a Vaishnavi. If you look at it from the material point of view, yes, then that's considered the fifth Varna. But when devotional service overshadows all of these categories and comes to the platform of devotional service. So a woman in devotional service, she also develops according. And sometimes it says that the women will take on the varna of their husband and follow in that way.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah. Thank you so much. Revati Mataji, I saw your hand raised. Do you have any question?
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Just I think Rishabh Prabhuji's question has got clarified. Just wanted to again clarify once more. Hi Krishna, Guru Maharaj, my humble obeisances, all glories to the Prabhupada. So I was trying to understand, Guru Maharaj, this Daivi Varnasrama. So even though like one is engaged in devotional service, still our Varna is very conditioned. So, but still we're using that a conditional nature to serve Krishna. So that is called Daivi Varnashrama, right, Guru Maharaj?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so how do we know like our Varna? Like right now, like our Varna is constantly changing because we are, very much conditioned and affected by the external, atmosphere, external environment.
Well, Prabhupada's statement was the women should align themselves with their husbands and take on the varna as their husbands. That was Prabhupada's statement. He didn't talk about Varnashram college for women. He talked it only about men. So yeah, for women, usually they follow their husband in what, according to the varna he is engaged in.
So when one is engaged in a pure devotional service, that means like there are no more like any varnas. It's only Krishna conscious, Guru Maharaj. Like, should we understand like that?
Yeah, the varnas are just material. Devotees are spiritual. But they work in one of these, they serve in one of these different varnas, that's all. It's just a label. Someone is serving as a priest, someone is serving as a manager, someone is serving, taking care of cows. It's all service.
Very much, yeah. So, yeah, it's very important to work in this Daivi Varnashrama so we can develop those qualities.
Yeah. But generally, the women don't have to take education separately. They can just follow their husbands. If they're not married, then they can be trained. And then again, Prabhupada said they should get married. He saw that women required marriage in order for them to grow, both in their material life and in their spiritual life. That's their nature.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, yeah. Yeah, and also like Mahaprabhu's internal mode, unless we do this Daivi Varnasrama, it's also very difficult to connect to that internal mode, right, Guru Maharaj? Because we are like, even though we are practicing devotional service, we see like, constant, like, we fall down again, we come back like that. So unless we work in this, farm communities and
Yeah, that's what Prabhupada said. People are chanting Hare Krishna, but they're falling down
doing,
because they're not properly engaged. That's all.
That's Guru Maharaj, yeah. That,
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for this sessions. Hare Krishna.
Rishabh Prabhu is asking, Maharaj in the chat is saying, Gurudev, isn't some mention in the Bhagavatam that there are marriages of equal and unequal varnas? That would mean there are some considerations from which family the woman is coming?
Yeah, that's there also. That means things will be easier. But still, if it's not there, still one can overshadow that by the power of one's devotional service. But if in some cases it'll be better to align yourself with a partner who has the same varna. Anuloma, pratiloma.
Okay, Maharaj. So Bhavya Prabhuji is also asking that, is it that women also don't need to follow Varna as they will be busy in taking care of children?
They should work in conjunction with their husband and engage in devotional service. Whatever service they do, they can do various types of services. But their main duty, if they have children, especially children who are young, is to take care of children. Prabhupada mentioned that to one lady who was doing deity worship and also had a 2-year-old child. She was struggling doing both. Prabhupada said child worship is more important than deity worship. So if you're raising children, that should be the focus for the ladies. And when the children become a certain age, then the children can also be brought to the temples along with their parents and also do some kind of devotional service by just coming to the temple. So yeah, children require care and guidance. If the parents don't give it, then they'll be spoiled.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much. So we are almost ending at the hour. So Raj Prabhu can be the last question for today. Please go ahead, Raj Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. Guru Maharaj, I have a follow-up question. Can we conclude that the divorce rate, which is increasing in Western countries and now in India also, it is because of people are not marrying within their varnashram? I mean, marrying to a partner from same varna?
No, it's a deterioration of the morals values within society, where it's being with spiritual values, moral values being replaced by economic gain and sense gratification. People are becoming degraded. That's all. It has nothing to do with anything spiritual. It's just people are not following the goal of life. They're not becoming Krishna conscious or devotees. They're not following morality, man to man, woman to woman marriages. All kinds of things are going on in the name of, what is called individual freedom. Yeah, it's moral turpitude that's destroying society. There's no morality, and morality is the basis of spirituality. Without morality, forget it. You can't do anything on the spiritual level. And there's laws, and there's moral codes. One should follow these moral codes.
Thank you, Maharaj. Raj Prabhu, is that okay?
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, it's due to decline in spirituality or a decline in moral values. Everyone wants to do whatever they want whenever they want. They don't want to follow any protocol. And therefore, people are inclined to sense gratification. So doing what they want means to pattern their life in such a way as they can enjoy their senses more. Whether it's in the name of work or in the name of family development.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, any last minute questions or comments?
Okay, we can stop here.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Such a wonderful session. Nice points to take. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, thank you so much. We'll all meet tomorrow again for Chaitanya Charitamrita class. Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Holiness Chandramauli Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Jai
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Guru Maharaj.
Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Guru Maharaj.
Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji.